The idea for the character was, look, he's like a melting pot of masculine cliches. You know, muscles, tattoos, motorcycles, guns, knives. He's in some kind of, motorcycle boy band in the early '90s, traveling around low-rent carnival circuits. It doesn't get worse. And he's presented with this child that he didn't know that he had, and it's like a mirror, and he realizes that none of these things mean that he's a man, and that he's really not a man at all, that he's a superficial person without any real depth. That was the idea. The face tattoo was, too much, and I regretted it, and I went to Derek. I said, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. And he said, well, this movie's about consequences, so now you have to pay for what you've done. You have to have it for the whole movie. And I was so ashamed, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror, and I hated looking at dailies, and I just felt embarrassed. And I think that was like something that I couldn't have acted, and something that became a very important part of the character was this sense of shame, of regret, of becoming something that you couldn't change, mm-hmm. And then having to face that and be that openly, and have this child and have them look at you and to try and feel like this kid's father somehow, and you just feel like a complete mess. I worked with this man named Rick Miller, who is like the best of the business. And like when Batman gets on a motorcycle, it's Rick in the Batman suit. I hate to break it to you, it's not Batman. Mm-hmm. And we just rode around Schenectady for a couple months, and it didn't feel like work. Well, I had this delusion that I could get away with robbing a bank, and that was my plan of how I would do it. If I wasn't afraid of jail, I would do it. But I guess that means I don't have a lot of confidence in my plan. But I told Derek about it, and he said, "That's crazy, I just wrote a movie about that." So that seemed like, well, okay, we should make that film. Both of us thought it was our idea, and then we realized that this guy in Tel Aviv has been doing it for years, and with great results.
Did this film get the bank robbery urge out of your system?
It did, yeah. It did. I had well, I'll tell you something that really soured the deal was when I finally am doing it, and I'm on the counter, and I turn around and everyone's smiling and filming me with their cell phone. And I realized that this is not like I thought it would be. And then Derek got mad at me because he said, "Look, they're having a good time. You're not being scary enough." So he made me do 22 takes, trying to scare them. It was interesting. It was intense. He'd done a lot of time and had just gotten out, so he was always checking the door, looking behind him, and he couldn't really believe that he was allowed to speak so openly about what he'd done, and that he was, like 2 cops brought him in, and then he was just sort of talking in front of them about how he would do it, and it was a very surreal meeting.
That's cool.
Good Ava Mendez story?
Not that I'd like to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have a nice day.
You too. You too.